Tommy and Ben were best friends with a shared dream, to build the ultimate treehouse in the woods behind Tommy's house. They spent weeks gathering wood, hammering nails, and arguing over who would be the captain of their new fortress. When it was finally complete, the treehouse stood tall and proud, nestled among the thick trees, completely hidden from the world. It was their sanctuary. One crisp autumn evening, the boys decided to stay late in their treehouse. The air was cool, and the setting sun cast long shadows through the forest. They brought flashlights, snacks, and a deck of cards to pass the time. For a while it was perfect, just two kids enjoying their hard work and the thrill of independence. As twilight deepened, the forest grew eerily quiet. No birds, no insects, just the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze. Tommy was about to deal another hand of cards when Ben froze, his eyes fixed on the ground below. "Tommy," Ben whispered, his voice trembling. "Look." Tommy leaned over the edge of the treehouse and saw him, a tall man standing motionless at the base of the tree. He wore tattered clothes, his face partially obscured by the shadows. His arms hung limply at his sides, and he made no effort to speak or move. Who is that?" Tommy stammered. "I don't know," Ben replied, his voice barely audible. The boys tried to reason with themselves. Maybe it was a hunter or a lost hiker. But something about the man felt wrong. He didn't call out for help or try to approach. He just stood there, staring up at them with an intensity that made their skin crawl. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Tommy grabbed a flashlight and shone it down toward the man, hoping to scare him off. The beam of light revealed his face, pale, gaunt, with deep, sunken eyes that seemed hollow. The man didn't even flinch. Panic set in. "Let's go. We need to get my parents," Tommy whispered urgently. The boys climbed down the treehouse ladder as quickly and quietly as they could, keeping their eyes on the man. But the moment their feet hit the ground, he stepped forward, his movements jerky and unnatural. "Run!" Ben screamed. They sprinted through the dark woods, tripping over roots and branches, their breath coming in ragged gasps. Behind them, they could hear heavy, deliberate footsteps crunching the leaves. The man was following. When they burst out of the woods and into Tommy's backyard, the footsteps stopped. They turned back, but the man was gone, swallowed by the darkness of the trees. Tommy's parents didn't believe them at first, but the boys were hysterical. "There's a man in the woods," they cried. Reluctantly, Tommy's dad grabbed a flashlight and went to investigate while the boys clung to Tommy's mom. When his dad returned, he was pale and visibly shaken. "There's no one out there," he said, his voice tight. "But I found this." In his hand was a noose, crudely tied and dangling from the treehouse. The parents didn't ask any more questions. The next day, Tommy's dad took a chainsaw and cut the treehouse down. "It's not safe," he said. "I don't want you boys going back there. Ever." Tommy and Ben didn't argue. They didn't want to go back, not after what they'd seen. But even years later, the image of the man in tattered clothes and that haunting, silent stare stayed with them, a reminder of something they couldn't explain and would never forget.